So, from the last time you've seen this, I've done a little off-camera grinding, including putting the exhaust headers back on, and with a fresh gasket in there, and the valve cover gaskets. Throwing a new accessory belt on, and most importantly here is plugging all the wiring and fuse box together. That wasn't too difficult actually. Basically there's just these three connector plugs that I plugged in, and the middle fuse plug I plugged into the existing fuse box that was already here. Now I do have the other fuse box from the donor vehicle that I cross-referenced, and it looked like it had almost majority of the same fuses in. There's just, I believe, this one was different, and there's an extra security fuse, but those should be part of the chassis and not the engine, so I'm gonna leave those the same. I still have yet to plug in the PCM. I'm gonna try and get this ready for a first start without any coolant in it. I'm probably gonna actually take off the accessory belt to keep power steering from running, and the coolant pump from running without any coolant or radiator. I'm gonna try and throw the flywheel on, and hopefully I can just bolt the starter up and see if we can start it without the transmission, just to make sure that all my seals are sealing. You can see I was already playing around with them. These fuel lines are actually different between the 4.3 trucks and any LS based V8 motor trucks. I'm trying to just throw a little bit of rubber hose between this and the fuel lines here. And importantly, I gotta make sure I put oil in it. Hopefully we can get to that and see it start up at some point before I throw everything back together, including the front core support together. And yeah, make sure all the wiring's good before I throw all the fenders and everything back on as well. Alright, just as I was getting these hoses hooked up, it is raining out, so. How generous of the previous owner to leave me with this nice little access hole. So it looks like I'm gonna have to swap over a few parts from the pump from the Yukon Denali that I got to the pump I just pulled out of the step side, because their depths are much different. Alright, so we have a bit of a problem here. The original 4.3 basket here has the wiring for the pump wire is actually a different shape and has different pins inside than the one from the 6 liter. So, but the wires are too short to use this on the sending unit from the pickup. I'm gonna have to look to, as well as this plastic hose I've run into is just shitty. Barbed fitting, there wasn't any way of getting it out without cutting it like I did. So I'm gonna throw some of this rubber hose back on in its place and throw some gear clamps on the end of it, and that'll make it easier to service in the future as well. We need to have this fuel pump and put it onto this sending unit. So what I'm gonna do about it is cutting off the little flanges so we can pop this yellow top of the yellow basket. We want this one to fit the fuel pump, right? That'll fit. White one that came with it will only fit the smaller sized fuel pump here, but they are mounted differently. As you see, this one kind of has these little ridges there, you can kind of and this kind of clamps onto it. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna cut the ends off this and throw some little washers on there. I'm gonna try and cut a slit in those and see if I can push them on here and click them on, and then throw this on. All right, here we go. Cut off the old one, threw it on there. That should stay like that pretty good. All right, this is the pump that came off the pickup. The wires are much longer, so I'm going to swap over the wires from here onto this one. So I've already gone ahead and popped off the float arms on both of them, because actually one of them, obviously the longer one, is longer. One of the reasons I'm changing it is you can actually kind of tell that this one makes nice contact, as this one you can see doesn't make good contact anymore, as you can kind of flick it and there's no real resistance. And this fuel float was actually cutting in and out. And then for this one, for these, obviously those aren't the same, and unfortunately the pins for them are completely different. I'm gonna get going on this. This one in the shallower fuel tank actually has a bump stop that'll stop the float level from raising too far. So this actually should work out better than the initial plan. Now this is making a lot better connection than, well, you can see this here. Alright, so decided I'd go out and just buy some of these pins instead of trying to use the old ones. They should fit pretty perfectly just in here, in these, which is great news for us. Okay. I know this really isn't much to anybody else, but this is really exciting for me to see done. Let's go put it in now. The good stuff. Alright, oil is filled up, but I don't think I put enough in because I changed the filter and completely wiped the engine out of oil when we cleaned it. So we will I'm gonna have to buy some more and throw that in.
You don't think that they were just trying to scare you? Were they ghosts? They might have been, but I didn't want to become one, so I quit. Here, who lives here? What are your occupation? But they were like, why didn't you just... My job is to come here and a little credential thing, like a little pin thing. I don't remember in all honesty, but I lasted there and I was like, dude, $17 an hour is great, but I do not
see $17 an hour and it comes with a free flak vest.
Yeah, I left UDF. The kind of hurt was whenever I left Cincinnati Eye Institute. They start doing YouTube. It's only been like a year or whatever, and you're leaving. And I was like, I wasn't sure.
And look at me now!
These torque specs are important.
Schnoz honker.
I don't like any. I got distractible. I don't like Well, when did this happen?
I swear to God, he does it on purpose just to create an opportunity for you in the midst of
All thing.
it's grandmother. I think you made it. You could have done.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like in order to move it, you have to.
Yes.
So it looks like
Is went back to the house for tilted door, so they couldn't reach it, and they're not trying to climb.
All right, so the fuel pump is in, and we are looking at the battery in. We're just gonna hook it up here pretty soon and see if it starts. So I actually just removed the accessories belt because I don't want the power steering pump or the water pump to be running when none of it is hooked up. I mean, this is not really hooked up. Good idea.
Is it now?
Well, I was holding the wrench and I could have hit positive to the fender.
Yeah.
Fuel pump.
Oh, do you want me to stand back and see if I hear it?
That battery doesn't sound happy, does it?
No.
At first I thought my battery wasn't happy because it had been sitting out of the vehicle for a couple months. But that noise we're hearing is the fuel pump relay. This is actually being caused by the throttle actuator control module, or TAC module. When I first pulled apart the Denali donor vehicle, I got rid of the original TAC module because I thought it was a cruise control module which I had no plans on reconnecting. When I found out mine was missing on reinstallation, I picked up one from the wreckers, a 2005 5.3 truck. This is incompatible with my pre-2003 ECU/engine. If you're doing this swap, make sure you have the right TAC module for the year of the engine you have.
So unfortunately there's no start. I think there may be a start permissive for the ECU or something. So I'm looking for the automatic transmission. I will look into that. All right, hit her forward. Oh. It doesn't, does it, are you killing it? No. Oh, it's just not. All right, so we were able to get it started by jumping the small wire on the starter solenoid for the pullout, starter pullout, and we were able to actually get it started. And well, be sure that if you're doing this, you cover up the oil cooler because I made a little bit of a mess. But it doesn't really like to idle because this here, it actually flickers the fuel pump relay, which is a bit of an interesting thing. I did forget to grab the tack box here for the 2002 Yukon Denali, and it kind of sits right here on the firewall. But yeah, it was able to start, which is a good sign. Alright, so I've been playing around with the electrical connectors here to see if I can get the ignition switch to work, and I think I've figured it out. I've been checking out the power, and what seems to be happening here is the electrical diagram. And so what's been happening, I checked power, and there's power with the key forward at this purple and white wire. So what's actually been happening is the power is going through this circuit because it's on the motor side. And it goes the purple and white here, which is this one here. And that one has power when we put the key forward, which is going to the starter relay, which we do have, all the other ones work properly. We have constant power here. This one is the starter, and the starter cranks if you put power to it. This one is ground, and this one is the relay switching the relay on, which doesn't seem to be getting power when the key is forward. As I thought this purple and white wire went directly to that, it doesn't. This yellow wire does. I believe this yellow wire, both the yellow and the purple wire, are coming down here, with the purple wire and the yellow wire being visible right there. And I believe if you jump these two and turn the key forward, we should be able to have it start. But what I might try and do is just bypass that, and I'm not 100% sure, but I believe if I swap this purple wire out of this harness with the yellow wire, I should be able to bypass the neutral safety switch and a clutch depression switch entirely. So I think that will be our key to start. I'm going to heat that up because they glue them together. I just have a hair dryer, but hopefully that should be enough to pull that apart, just to check continuity between the wires, and then we'll go from there. Alright, a little bit of heat, and the connector actually came right off. Alright, this is where we play the fuck around game. Yeah, that'll work. Alright, so on this here, I believe actually this is the wire that comes straight from inside the chassis, then into the fuse block. And then what happens is the power comes out of this one, which is on the engine harness, down to the transmission plug, and then through that white and purple wire goes to a neutral safety switch, back up through a yellow wire here, and that goes to the starter. So my initial plan was to swap this to here, but that won't work because the power is going out. So I can either take this one out and replace it with the yellow wire, which would be kind of messy. So the second thing would be to just keep the pin, the paper clip in the transmission plug like we had been, but I don't really like that solution because it's kind of out in the open. And the third solution would be to clip the wires to them and then connect them directly, which I could either do up here by the fuse or down there by the plug. There's a few different ways we could solve this problem. Alright, so I've decided these two, the purple and white wire and the yellow wire, I am just going to try and cut this off, pull some of the wrap off, see if I can get a little farther down, and I'm just gonna put a crimp on connectors between the two, I think that'll be the easiest for serviceability. Can't go back. I'm going to use one of these guys to crimp them two together because this should be removable. But I don't really like this guy because it's exposed, so it could ground out, and that wouldn't be good. So I've got this one that is the same thing. You can kind of see it in there, except for it's just covered up. And that'll do a lot better. Probably wrap the thing electric tape too, just because. That'll do. Alright, well, I got a bit of progress done on the step side here. It looks like a lot more than it is. It's pretty much just the front end back together and the core support. I've just swapped over the radiator to the bigger one, as you can see. Yeah, I got the ECU held back up, but yeah, hopefully with this in, I'm able to plumb it in properly and fill it full of coolant, throw the oil cooler on, and be able to actually give it a proper startup. Good progress, good progress. And unfortunately, it looks like I'm gonna have to remove or compress the brake booster just to get the pedals off. This is the new one I want to put in, but as you can see, the brake booster, the brake like master cylinder rod is going right through the old pedal bracket. So, and this unfortunately can't come out anymore this way. So I'm thinking loosening off a bleeding nipple on the front brakes and just compressing the rod. But we'll see what we can do. Got more stuff done today. Got the harness back in for the headlights, and hooked the existing power steering cooler from the Denali, hooked that back up, tightened back down the threaded one for that. All I need to do is throw some fluid in there. Hooked up the oil cooler as well, so when I turn it on again, it shouldn't shoot oil everywhere like last time. Rad hoses are on. I'm still going to need to grab a different rad hose for this, because I believe these ones came with a tee-off and then plumbed into the reservoir, as well as longer heater core hoses to get to there. Looking pretty good so far here. Even got a headlight back on, as we saw here, and the hood latch back in place. So hopefully next time when I get a hand, I can throw on the hood, bolt it down, and then I can maybe get rid of this tarp on top here actually. And then with that done, we're getting pretty close here. Last thing is going to be the pedals. Still dealing with that from one of my buddies. And then just the transmission pop this transfer case off, throw that on for now, while I'll have to look into more of the all-wheel drive stuff. Yeah, progress. Average throttle pedal installation. Okay, so these are the two different throttle brackets that I have, or pedal brackets that I have. This one was the one that came off the truck, and it's the whole reason that we have to switch them out, because this is for a throttle cable. But unfortunately, these 6 liters out of the Denali's come with a drive-by-wire system. So you can see where it mounts. This actually different. There's the 2 bolts here, and then this is just a whole one unit. So the other thing that we had to do with this one is the stock one has these like riv nuts in here for the clutch pedal, because it's manual. But these ones never came with that. These were just blank holes. So what we went and did was welded some nuts on the back of it, and that should do just fine. Gonna go ahead and try and throw this in. So right there, right in front of you, that is where we are going to drill a hole for the throttle cable, or I guess wire.
Wire.
Alright, I think I was actually wrong. I believe that is where the throttle cable comes through. It's up right in beside the clutch pedal. Let's just hop over to the other side. Right there, that little punch hole in the firewall. That is gonna actually be a lot easier to do than whatever that one's for. Which is great news for us. This is the little grommet for the throttle pedal, and here's my tack module I bought. Whoa. So I'm going to maybe test a few hole saws. I think it's between here and here is going to be my size for that. So I might test it on a blank piece of metal and see which size is the best. Perfect fit. God, that's sweet. All right, that's where the bracket goes. So yeah, I gotta get the brake booster in place, hook up the brake pedal, which I've taken off, but it goes up there. Throw the throttle pedal back on, which it's really nice to be able to take off the throttle pedal to get that bracket in there. That was way easier than when it came out. As well as just throw steering column back in. This is the end, and then it goes to there. Clutch pedal I gotta bolt back up too, and then we had to, just for space, I had to loosen off 1, 2, and then see that bolt 1, 2 for this one. Okay. Hopefully that wasn't a mistake to do that first. That's nothing, man.
It's nothing.
It's nothing, man.
Dyson, an entire section of your fucking door frame is gone.
My door, yeah. The rocker panel.
The rocker panel.
That's nothing.
Okay.
Fuck. It's at least nothing you gotta worry about. I'm not worried. It's not my vehicle. I'm worried about you, though. Are you worried about it? I'm not worried about it. It's not structural, and I'll probably, I don't know, I'm debating on eventually doing a body swap, like Miles did fix the rust.
Oh. It's not fixing the rust. Well,
I mean, it's fixing the rust.
It's getting rid of the rust.
Yeah?
Fix implies a repair of some sort, not a replacement.
It fixes the problem.
Okay, fine. If you want to be that pedantic about it, sure.
I am gonna be that pedantic about it.
Okay. There's something here.
Alright, so I had to pull this bracket back out again just to do up this bolt here. But I will have to throw this back in a second. And 1, 2, I already tightened. Bolted on. Just gonna throw the brake booster on. Alright, brake booster's back in place and tightened up. Next is just the clutch pedal. Alright, clutch pedal is in. No, yeah, clutch pedal is in. Just 3 bolts up here, 1, 2, and then 1 straight up. Alright, so I know you already saw it start up a little earlier, but I know that's not what you guys really want, so. Sad. I won't stay running.
Weird.
Alright, so I did a little bit of research on why this thing isn't starting, and I believe it is the vehicle anti-theft system, because the ECU does not match the body control module anymore, because I obviously swapped the ECU and the body control module is still stock. So apparently they say there's a way to sync the two. And you pretty much just gotta put the key in, turn it forward, wait for 10 minutes, and then repeat that 3 times. So I'm gonna try that. I know if that doesn't work, they say there's a few wires that go to the ignition cylinder that if you cut them and put a resistor in between, it can trick the system into running. So I'm gonna try the key thing first, and if not, I guess I'm gonna go with the ignition cylinder one. Alright, just like this. And I'll wait for 10 minutes.
There, I'm pretty sure that means we're working on it. The security light.
I also threw the battery pack on it just because I know this battery's been sitting for a while and I don't want it to die in the middle of this process. So I only have the battery light and the low fuel light, and no more security light. So I'm gonna cycle the key, turn it off for 5 seconds, 5 to 15, and then cycle it back forward. All right. We did it 3 times.
Now we get to hello? Alright, first start. It's a big moment. So, yeah, now I guess the only thing we have to do left before we can actually kind of see this thing drive around is the transmission goes in place. I got a few things to tidy up still. I got to put the front end of the truck on still, as well as coolant in the engine, so I can actually run it longer. But big thing still is exhaust. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with it. I know I want to do a custom system though, because well, the stock ones that I have won't quite fit because the Denali and the pickup trucks hangers don't quite match up. And I'm not gonna go to a whole extent to make that stock exhaust work, just because I want to hear something custom on this truck. So I'm thinking I'm going to do a true dual system. I don't know whether I'm going to do it after the axle or before the axle, but I'll look into it. But yeah, we're getting really close. So yeah, the transmission will definitely be the next video. Look forward to that. And, well, yeah, thank you for watching this little montage of me getting work done on this thing to finally get it to run. It's really been a long time getting this thing running, and it's really exciting to actually get to the point where it's less of an idea and more of a reality at this point. So, yeah, big things are coming. Really excited for first drive now. But, yeah, first start. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.